Melanie, is it important for you to vote while you're living abroad?
Yes, it's important to me. I think that having the right to vote and being able to vote, as I am a South African citizen, is extremely important. So, yeah.
And Craig, is it important to you?
Yeah, it's definitely important to be able to. I think that not being physically located in a country at the time of an election is not grounds to deny a citizen of a country, the ability to decide the leadership of that country. So it's basically like a no-brainer.
Okay. And Melanie, I know that you're friends with South Africans living abroad. Do you find that South Africans living abroad care about the politics that are happening in the country right now?
Yes. I don't think I've ever met any expat from any country who doesn't have some kind of interest in their own country's politics. And South Africans, we generally like to keep tabs what's happening, and I think we find it really important to, have some kind of involvement. And we all have our opinions. We all like to talk about what's happening. We all want to see the best happen for our country. And if we can be involved with that, even though we're not in the country, I think it's something that it's kind of, I don't know, in us as South Africans. That's been my experience of other expat South Africans, at least. Yeah.
And Craig, have you experienced the same thing?
You mean with regards to how much South Africans overseas talk about South African politics in particular?
Yes.
Well, being outside, we mainly get the bad news more often than not. So I think we end up talking about how bad things are back home. And if anything, that's more reason for people to vote, because your vote is pretty much, if you've got to work in democracy, your vote's often the only way that you can have any impact on those things you're complaining about. So we're getting bad news. It should be motivated to go and actually do something about it. A lot of people are talking about exactly what's going on at home. We'll get like a Facebook post that everyone shares about something tragic, like the DA thing. I think from like a month ago, that DA supporter that was beating up all the ANC people. I could have a completely wrong take on it in a very abbreviated description of that scenario. But we hear of things like that, and if you're willing to post on Facebook about something that's wrong, and you have any intention of returning to South Africa, and you're capable of voting in the country you're in, just go. You got to do it, basically. That's it.
So since you will have to register and vote at an embassy, a high commission, or consulate, will it be possible for you to actually vote, Mel?
There's no embassy or anything South African in the city that I'm based in. They're all based up in Seoul, and they're only open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Unfortunately, I work. The chances of taking off a school day are really difficult. I can't just sort of say, hey, I need to go and do this thing. I'd have to lose a day's pay, and I'd have to work it out with some of my teachers at school. So it's quite a tricky thing to be able to do that. I think it's something I would consider, and it's something that I would look into doing if I could work it out without disadvantaging my coworkers in the school that I'm at. But it's not the easiest system. It's not the most user-friendly. And I think that, like Craig has mentioned already, but I think that a lot of other people in other countries have similar problems. We're not all based in a place where we have access to register, and finding the means, the financial means to travel up to do that. It's quite difficult, especially with the time constraints that these offices are open. So it's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, and Craig, will it be possible for you to register and vote in the city where you're living?
I don't actually know. I've just recently arrived in Shanghai. I haven't investigated that. If there is a consulate or embassy here in Shanghai and it's not up in Beijing, which is really far away, then I'll be able to make the time to go and do it. I think a good solution, if there's anybody back home promoting and organizing some centralized area where expats can go online and find information about how to register in a particular city, or have a database of countries and cities and the means to register, I think that would help out a lot.
I think it would be really useful if we had an online source of information. There isn't one place that we can go and find sufficient information about what our options are, what's happening, what progress is being made, what possible options there will be in the future. There's not one place. I mean, you kind of do a Google search and things come up here and there, and I've read about the progresses that they're making on different places with different sort of perspectives and opinions, because the writers are different or because it's media or whatever. So it'd be really nice if there was an actual official sort of website that we could find this kind of information. But there isn't really that much. I've found, at least when I've searched for it and looked for it. So.
And I think you've both already answered this question, but if you are able to register, will you be voting in next year's election?
Yes, if I could register, I would vote, absolutely.
And Craig?
Yeah, I did it the last time I could, and I'll do it again this time.